The play, The Cherry Orchard, focuses on the importance of socialism and change, which is regarded as one of the most discussed political and social plays. It was written at the time of the downfall of the aristocracy and the rise of the middle class in Russia. The noble class was enjoying the luxuries of life without doing anything, it even was not paying taxes. Serfs were there to work for them. The communist revolution ended in the year 1917, but its beginning was very vital. Russia witnessed social and political change. The middle class started feeling proud of their class, as many nobles were unable to defend their estates. Russia was divided into two main classes. The first class was of serfs, whereas the second was of aristocrats. The life of serfs was miserable. They were working hard but gaining nothing. On the other hand, aristocrats were doing nothing, yet their life was prosperous. Play, The Cherry Orchard, demonstrates social and political change with respect to these two classes. Lopakin represents the class of serfs, whereas Mrs. Ranevsky represents the aristocratic class. The play starts when Lopakin becomes a good businessman. Ranevsky's estate is going to be auctioned. Indeed, the play, The Cherry Orchard, is about the social and political conditions of Russia in those days. Feudalism was at its peak and the middle class was wretched due to their worst behavior. Thus a change was required. The middle class raised voices against it and remained successful in throwing away the pride of the noble class. It is evident from this play. The character of Lopakin can be referred to here. His ancestors were serfs. They were working hard for Ranevsky's family even though they were living miserable life. After the social and political change in Russia, improvement in Lopakin's condition is witnessed. He has new ideas. He can think freely. His lifestyle has improved. He himself is getting the fruits of his labor instead of giving them to his masters, as he and his forefathers used to. On the other hand, the Ranevsky family is in danger. In order to pay large taxes, they need money. In case of failure, Ranevsky's estate would be auctioned. Similarly, Boris Simeonov-Pishchik is also facing the same problem. However, he manages to save his estate with the help of Mrs. Ranevsky. Anton Chekhov captured a clear picture of Russian society in The Cherry Orchard and showed the social and political change in Russia in this play. Some other elements of the play also indicate a change in Russia. For instance, time and again industrial development has been symbolized. In order to pay the debts, Lopakin suggests the Ranevsky family cut down the cherry orchard and make small plots for industrial purposes. This idea actually symbolizes the Industrial Revolution in Russia. Small gardens and orchards were cut. Plots were made and used for industrial purposes. Similarly, we see railway tracks were added in order to upgrade rural areas to urban areas. The middle class was in a hurry to cooperate in this regard. For example, at the end of the play, when Lopakin purchases the estate, he immediately cuts down the orchard. He adopts the same solution to pay taxes that he once gave to Mrs. Ranevsky. Sounds of axes can be heard at the end of the play. Thus, the middle class was in much hurry to cooperate with the state. The aristocratic class, on the other hand, was not happy due to this sudden change. Mrs. Ranevsky's character was remarkable in this regard. She did not consider this change favorable. She was of the view that it had completely destroyed her along with many other noble families. Every noble family was resisting change. Their properties were in danger. These properties were going to be auctioned for the welfare of the state. They had very less time to enjoy the lavishness and comforts. Mrs. Ranevsky knew that after the auction, she needed to work hard in order to survive. Anton Chekhov also sheds light on the responsibilities of both social classes. Irresponsible behavior of the noble class could be observed, whereas the middle class was much more responsible. Negligence of feudal class had been presented in The Cherry Orchard through Mrs. Ranevsky's character. Thus, many incidents are there in the play which prove that The Cherry Orchard had been written keeping in view the social and political change in Russia. In order to prove a political and social change in the play, The Cherry Orchard, Peter Trofimov is significant. He critically evaluates every situation in Russia. Dialogues as well as speeches of this character indicate the political environment of Russia. Through his dialogues, he constantly emphasizes the value of work as the salvation of Russia and convinces Anya that the whole of Russia is her orchard. Soviet critics after the Russian Revolution of 1917 latched onto the character of Trofimov as a literary hero who exemplifies the ideals of socialism, often citing his speech describing the trees in the orchard as souls. Hence, this main character helps Anton Chekhov in helping the political and social condition of Russia in the play The Cherry Orchard. In a nutshell, though The Cherry Orchard seems a mere story of the Ranevsky family, yet it is more than that. The writer has presented the whole of Russian society in it. He depicts the condition of people whether they belong to the upper class or lower class. Both types of people have been assessed in this play. Anton Chekhov was a true Russian. He knew the condition of his people. The biography of Anton Chekhov reveals that his ancestors were also serfs, therefore, he knew the feelings of the lower class. Besides, the writer has presented reality. He has not favored any class. The play, The Cherry Orchard, describes the author's political and social opinions, but they are not biased. Hence, the play, The Cherry Orchard, has political and social components. It describes many of the political events, but it cannot be said that it is purely a political or social play. Anton Chekhov cannot surpass famous dramatists such as Bertolt Brecht, Jean-Paul Sartre, Robert Penn Warren, etc. in writing social and political plays. It is also true that the theme of the play is social and political change, as many political events have been mentioned in the play. The audience can see the political and social conditions of Russia. It has something to say about society. It also reveals some political unions, but the play is not completely a social or political play.